Good afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're watching this, or morning. This is Robert Greenwald from Brave New Films from Culver City, California. We are live on Instagram and maybe not live on Facebook, YouTube, and other platforms, but you will be able to see the full interview about this really amazing film that we're going to talk about with the director in a minute or two, Talal Derki, and Fathers and Sons. Just a word about Brave New Films before we get into the film. We're a small nonprofit. We're sending this conversation to you from our slightly broken down motel in Culver City with the hummingbirds in the courtyard. We do full-length documentaries, we do short videos, and they're almost all available at our website. They're free. We have Brave New Educators, which is a program for thousands of teachers and educators where the films are free and they provide study guides. Feel free to go and sign up. We have Brave New Faith program, similar idea where the films are available for free. There are reflection guides, and we hope you will be seeing our upcoming work, of which there's quite a bit, that will be available on Facebook or from our email list. So with that, I welcome our director, and his film is opening November 23rd, and it's one of the most powerful films I have seen in a long time, and I see so many documentaries. So tell us first a little bit about your background, and then how did you make the decision to make this film?
Thank you, Robert, to inviting me for this intimate conversation. It's an honor really to be here. I heard a lot about you, and I'm glad to meet all your team. What was the
Tell us a little bit about your background. I think it's better in your words. Yes. And then how that background led you to make this film.
Yeah, I'm a Syrian Kurdish, grew up in Damascus, studied cinema in Greece, in Athens, in a film school, fiction films. Like my background is a fiction, not documentary. And work also in art in different level. Like I studied also fine art for 2 years before, and I worked in many fiction films as assistant directors. Did after that many programs. Did work as when the revolution started and when it's become war in Syria. I made a lot. We were a group. I organized a group of anonymous cameramen, and we were more than 15 anonymous cameramen all around Syria. We were filming very professionally at full HD at the time when it wasn't allowed for any broadcasters or TV or any platform to. The government didn't give a license to anyone to film what's going there. So we were there filming secretly, and we were every week we were smuggling the footage to Lebanon, in a hard drive, in SIM cards, and give a full quality, because even uploading it was under control. So if you upload the footage, they understand that you upload something heavy, that it should be a video something, and they will arrest you. So we were work very carefully in that level, and then I filmed my first feature length documentary, Return to Homes, which won Sundance in 2014, the big award. So and then it's go everywhere, and it's broadcasted in most of the countries in all the languages. I started this film in the moment when the refugees movement start to appear. So the local Syrian people who refused to participate in this war, they don't want to fight for any parts, they left the country with their families, kids. And meanwhile, at the same time, all those terrorist jihadist fighters, they came to Syria. So it was like people leave and people replace them. Also the other Shia militia who who joined to fight from Iran to support Assad in his war. So it was complicated like situation, and our heart was broken after all this catastrophe and all of this death and all of those people who get arrested and killed under torture. Um, I thought that it's a time to make a film with less direct violence from the front, from the war zone area, and a film that really go through the closing room, the education, psychologically, the trauma of the war, and to go deeply through the circle of violence, the Jihadi Salafist movement, and their project, which called Caliphate.
So that was the idea before you knew your subject or how you were going to tell it. Is that
The subject,
accurate?
yeah, the subjects happen when I saw a father training his kids about using a pistol, and his kids was just like 7 years old in the city of Homs, and that's inspired me to make a film about the movement of violence from generation to generation, because I'm also a father, and I never like allow my son to even to know the news. Like just now he learned about what's happening in Syria when he is 6 years old. All these years we was hiding all these bad things for him because he's very sensitive, and I need him to grow really in a peaceful circumstances. So all of this heavy legacy of violence lead me to go through deeply through the closing room and through the education without showing the direct violence, to understand more, so the meaning of the words, the sentence, the dialogue, how they build, how this the dictatorship father, who this we call it like in the Middle East, in the Arab world, in a Muslim country, in a third world, it exists very much the masculine power. So the masculine power, it's lead the wars in not only in Syria, everywhere, since and they lead this sectarian war, this holy war, wars. Everything become from man, and this is why it's fathers and sons, because this thing. I believe that I should show it clearly without make up how bad is it, and in a way that every father, every man, every woman, everybody watch the film will understand the message that this is against violence. It's not only against jihadi movement.
Yes, and very powerfully against
Thank you.
violence. I should mention, those of you who are watching live on Instagram, send questions in. I've got a long list of questions that have come from staffers at Brave New Films, but if you're so inclined, I'm sure we'll get your question. Lau will signal me, and she will ask the question. So the film, those of you who haven't seen it, which will be most of you because it hasn't opened yet, is this very powerful and profound story, as you're saying, between father and son, and the passing on of violence and the passing on of a particular worldview. How did you find the father-son story? How did you get access? How much time did you spend with them filming?
Okay, you have to remind me one by one
Okay.
of all these questions. So start with the first one.
How did you find
The father.
The father and
I
son?
will tell you how also I get in the courage, because I was in Germany actually, and I moved to Turkey. I spent like 10 months in Turkey when I was in the beginning of the research and the shooting. So I thought it's good to be close to the border to Syria, this region that it's open and it's easily to cross the border. At that time, 2014. 2015, before the Turkish government, they closed totally the border, and it's a time when the refugees movement starts. So what's happened that in the end of the shooting in the spring of 2013, I was filming this film, Return to Homs, and it's about the revolution, how become military, and it's about the peaceful people, why they carry weapons, and how the city is destroyed and become under siege, and the first movement of the refugees from inner places, so from inside Syria, from place to place, before they don't find any other place and they move to neighbors countries. So I found myself following my character in a desert of Homs. Between Balmera and Homs there is an area where it's really out of our world. There is no mobiles, there is no communication, there is no internet, and I was there for days, and without any communication with the outside world, and I want just to send a small message to my family, to my producer, that I am alive. No, because they don't want to make them like that. So I hear that there is a satellite internet in a place not far from the place where I was. So I went to that place. They have a satellite internet, and and that place belonged to the first group of from that area, from that region, who become later an ISIS. So that was a month before ISIS declared themselves. So I went to them, and suddenly I find myself like going to clean because they are people with exclusive stuff, peer. They have black and all this thing, mascara under their eyes, like this is old style, and it was really horrible thing. One prepared its exclusive car, and this is the first time in my life I meet these people, like these horrible people, because I didn't had this chance to make film about things what happened in Iraq and all how it's happened and all of this. So it was the first time. It was also many Iraqi people in that area, and I start immediately to pray with them and to sit with them in order just to communicate. So I test that I am able to convince that I am part from them. I follow their details one by one, and it's worked well. And for a week, then I finished the shooting. I returned. It was really horrible time because the road was really dangerous. Anyway, times run. Like a year after, finished the edit, film is out, start the research, went back to Syria, and have still I had a lot of access through the people I trained, through like my work, and as I told you, I covered all the news coming from this area. Everything happened, like connect to many channels in England, in Europe, in America, of everyday details or some big events happen, massacres, bombing, jihadist movement, interview. So, and I have access. I start looking. I found the father, and I present myself to him as a moderate Muslim, but he wasn't happy. So, and he said there is nothing called moderate Muslim. Islam is like this, as what we do. What you do is not Islam. It's like lying to God. This is how they believe. So. Mm-hmm. And slowly he started to treat me very bad. Then he disappeared. Like I was waiting him for days. They give me wrong information. Then I understand he don't want me to film with him. I understand there's no dialogue between like open-minded. Even I'm like an open-minded person, or like in a way that religion is something personal. It's not something like you have to share to the others. So I understand there is no dialogue. The only way to tell those people you want really to film from inside and to film as you want, without somebody tell you don't film this and stop filming and show me again and all of this observing, and you have to be exactly like them. You have to be what they love you to be. So again, I decide to be a Salafist guy there with a camera, and they start to introduce me as Abu Yusuf Almani, like the German Abu Yusuf, and from those people I know there who filming, I sent for all of them a messages that I'm looking to this and this and this to children who are prepared to be a jihadist, and the father who believe in caliphate and belong to one of those radical group. The one who will find the characters will be my cameraman for the upcoming next years. So, and that was like, and we work with a German company, so you will get a huge salary that can be very good job, like, and credit very good. So, and this has encouraged many of people to search until we found, like, we find one of them, they find the family. So I was searching at the same time, but it wasn't easy, like, to find really a charismatic person who really can show the real faith of his believing. And it should be, because if you show a jihadist who are really have ugly face and speak very harsh, if you start filming with him, I mean, people in the cinema will not continue watching, because you make a film, you don't make a reportage.
Right.
So how you convince people to stay in the cinema for 1.5 or 2 hours? You have really to find I say it, an evil Don Quixote, like a good bad guy, like Marlon Brando in The Godfather, like the one who play Pablo Escobar in Narcos. So a person who present a negative values, but at the same time his sympathy with the like, he love his society. He look in his face like a normal guy. He don't look a criminal in his face. He look a lovely father. So I found that guy. He was speaking first conversation. We found the kids in a camp, in a Sharia camp. In that camp, they didn't allow us to film yet. So we went after that with a person who know the father from the group, and he talked to him. And from the first moment, like before we go to meet the father, he accepted that we will film.
And how many people?
Because he's very proud about what he do.
Like, how many people? You said we. How many?
2.
Oh. You
2 is we.
You and
the camera. As much. This is important in this kind of films, that you cannot go with a big crew. Not because it's only dangerous, because it's confused the attention. Like for children live in a village somewhere in a countryside in north of Syria. If they are go with a sound system, with a producer, with a location, like, at least if you go 4 or 5, you will not see the same film. Absolutely, I will not be that much close to them, because at the beginning it was difficult. Children were all the time looking to the camera, and that was it's take time from them until they forget there is a camera, because it's become particularly part from their everyday moment.
Yeah.
And we talk about 330 days of shootings.
Wow.
There, so
330.
330 days of shooting during 2.5 years.
So you filmed and went away and came back?
Like, yeah, it depends, because sometimes we start filming, then after a month, nothing has happened, very calm, there is nothing to film anymore. Then we decide that this is not the right moment, then we go back. I go back, I start look the footage, start working and start do some pre-selecting, pre-editing to understand exactly, because there is no story yet. The story, it's written with a camera, so this is real-time filming. It's not interviews. There is a dialogue for sure between people there, as now, but it's based on a story. It's based on events. Something happened there. I follow it and I write it with a camera, with the real time. So we have the camera. I have my camera, and the cameraman have his own camera in our labs. And suddenly something I feel it is important. In 1 to 2 seconds, the camera starts filming. And I have to find really always the good light, the good position, the good sound. We film a lot of strong. Even I have a lot of image scene more strong than what you see in this film, but they are really bad quality because there's no electricity there. So it can be dark. It can be the footage. There's a pixel. There's noise. There's sound. All of those technical problems make us really select. And because the purpose is to screen the film in the cinema, so you have to bring the best quality of footage to the audience. So this is how they use to the camera, and this is because they feel comfortable to me as a one who are sympathy with them, who believe that they speak good, and they was really spontaneously to the camera, and we managed to be that close that it's not usual, and it's even not usual to film from inside the society. All the films it's from the other sides. Me as a Kurdish, most of the topic about this war it's from our side, the Kurdish, the women fighters, all of this, that people who try to get free from those fighters. So.
And one of the questions it's one of our Brave New Films folks put in, which is very relevant, which is, was there a time when you felt that you were in danger, was there a particular moment or moments that you thought you might not survive the experience?
There are different levels of dangers. So one of it that your main character enjoy to be in dangerous places. So he's one of the biggest person who have skills with the exclusive stuff. So his place is full of TNT, full of mines, full of weapons, and he's a target from different groups. So he's target from America, target from Russia, from Assad regime. He's target from ISIS themselves, because ISIS in a war against Al Qaeda, because they present the same project, and it should be one caliphate, not two caliphates. So. And in one hand, also like Free Syrian Army, which are moderated group, they were also in fight with those people because they are the same land. They are the same land, and Al Qaeda was slow, or the jihadi movement was eating those groups slowly, and they take their weapons. So it was really like you don't know who's your enemy and who's against whom. It's chaos. It's really chaos. People get killed, car exploded, area bombed. Nobody know who do that. Like it was everything going quickly, and also plus the people, the gangster who want to kidnappings, journalists or people who work with a national organization to get money out of that. So they can kidnapping me to take money from my company in Germany. So this is how they are thievery. So this is one. And as I told you, being with him as you see, walking all the time in a minefields between bomb car, that is not easy. But the most dangerous part that they will figure out about my background, about my purpose, about that I'm lying to them, that I am not a Muslim as what they thought. So this is, and also I have to hide, like mostly that I'm Kurdish, because they hate Kurdish. They said the atheists, they are the bigs, they hate us a lot, just because like it's complicated there. So and I grew up in Arabic society, so for me, like my accent, everything is 100% is Arabic. So it was quite dangerous, like, because especially when you meet new people, those foreigner fighters, those are the most dangerous because they don't trust anyone, and the first enemy for them is the camera. You see, the first thing they teach the kids in the camp, how to wear the mask. Like they tell Osama, for example, forget that your name is Osama. We talk about 13 years old guy. They told him your name is not Osama, your name is Abu Hussein, something like that, for example. And you wear the mask, you should not show your identity, who you are, and what's your name, and where. So if you ask any kids there, what's your name? He said, I don't have name, I have a nickname. So and so yeah, that was all the time. I have to convince them that I'm a war journalist. I'm doing very good things to. I support their movement. I show how I make. I'm in the front line. Show the battles in a heroistic way that you appear as as a hero. So they only care to be strong in the footage.
And one of the things that I felt you captured, of course, being there so many days, it's wonderful, gave you the opportunity. When I went to Afghanistan, when I filmed there, and then when I went to Pakistan with drone survivors, one of the things, and I was much more limited scope, but I had a hard time communicating the feeling of day-to-day living in such situations of life and death.
Day is very long.
Yeah.
One day can pass very long, especially when you don't have anything to film. This is a nightmare. When I don't have anything to film and I have to hear all this bullshit, that was the most disaster things that it's broke me from inside as a human, as everything I believe in about freedom, about everything. So this is like the time. Sometime run very quickly, very heavy, and psychologically you feel, oh my God, I need to call my doctor, I need a treatment, I need somebody to talk. Sometimes I call my wife and go somewhere, nobody hear me in nowhere, just talk on the phone and start to cry. I told her I cannot handle this anymore. I want to end this story, but everything in this village going very slow. I didn't understand. I didn't thought that it can be that much slow. If you go to my previous film in the city of Homs, really every day there are something happen. You don't know what to film. The main character jump from place to place to place. So it was really the rhythm of, and that's appear in the rhythm of editing because it was tack 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 tack. But here it's different language and it's nothing happen and it's very slow. And you don't have other choice. You have to be there, doing nothing, prisoners.
And when you would go from doing nothing to pick up the camera, did that create a separation from you and them, or by that point it was kind of seamless? You know what I mean? It was, if you're in the moment and then suddenly you reach out and get the camera to film it. Doesn't that create a little bit of separation at that time?
I didn't get your question exactly, but like it was the moment, like there is things like even like I'm locked to the same people. So I have the father or the sons, so I cannot film with anyone else. People visiting me, people who I trained, war cameraman. All those journalists and media activists, they visiting me in that tiny little room where I stayed there, and they told me, like, they look at me and they said me, are you crazy? Why you don't? There is a big battle happening right now, and it's rise the adrenaline. You know how when you are a war cameraman and you are on the front line and you start to run with your camera from place to place, and you know how the adrenaline, it's I become addicted usually to this thing, but really it was my focus. I don't want to get harm or something bad in the different place, so I have to stay. Nobody believed. I told them, they thought that I get crazy to be here, or I start to be like retired, get scared, etc. So that is and also like the area become really dangerous to even if you have a paper or something, it's dangerous to film alone. So I have to be with him or with those leaders to raise the camera. So it was filming under their permission in the main prison of Al Qaeda, Al Nusra. It was more easy than go to the street in the city and film with your camera, because really everybody's scared that about filming, that it can cause bomb or something like that, etc. So it was yeah, it was tough time.
Yes. So I see we're being signaled to start to wrap up here. Maybe the last question, or last two, do one question at a time, if you prefer. What do you hope the audience in the United States, who is far away from having this experience, what do you hope that people who see this film will take away with them?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's good to understand your enemy, because really we don't know about them enough. We know only this cliche image about black and white. We need really, it's a war against ideology. This ideology declare that the rest of the world is enemy for them. So the jihadi movement want the black flag to be everywhere in all the land until the caliphate and Armageddon and all this mythology will be happening, and their upcoming promised caliphate. This is what they thought, that Muhammad said that, but Muhammad, like their prophet, whatever. So this is ideology. It's not groups of people. It's not a party. It's not Al Qaeda. It's not ISIS, because they changed names. They were Al-Nusra, now they are the guardian of the religion. Like they changed the name of the group. They changed group. People are changed generation, and then a new generation appear, then appear. So to get their motivation from them, in order that what happened to Syria will not happen to any other country. This film is not connected directly to Syria. It can be happen, the same story, it can be happen in Iraq, it can be happen in Libya, in Afghanistan, in all the area where those radicalism and extremists manage to brainwash society. So if the society are really, this is what Germans learned after the Nazi's time, after this horrible Second World War. They learned that in the schools there should be there should be a strict law that to protect children from violence. You see all the time Usama, the child in the film, get harmed from everyone. And then you see him become a jihadist before his other brothers, because it's action and reaction. So in our country, they said, like traditionally, like they said, the stake is a beast coming from paradise. That's mean that the children should be hidden with the stake, and that's for their good, you know. And if a child grow up and get used to be hidden by his parents or his teachers, then immediately if any chaos happen, he will use a weapon. He will be ready to kill other person. So why some people they are against violence, why some people are with violence, because of their childhood and how they grow up. So how we can protect other countries to not follow what's happened to us in the future? Can you imagine like a chaos happen in Egypt with 100 million person live there? What can be happen? We are 20 millions, and all this tragedy and happen around us and for other countries. So the result out of it that there should be a law. United Nations should be push. All those countries should be observed very good what's happening in the school, what's happening in houses. We have to take care of the new generation that they are grow up. They should also in schools they should take the religion away. Children should not learn religion in school. This is something when you get adult you decide, because it's if you people need God, they need second life. This is very important. but they should be their own choice, not that they have to pray. If they want not to pray, they get harmed or whatever, or all of this issue also about all the details in life. So this is how we protect that societies in all the Muslim country that grow up in peaceful circumstances. So whatever can be happen, people will not carry weapon, people will not go to be a jihadist.
Wonderful.
Thank
Wonderful note to end on.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much. Remember, the film will be in theaters November 23rd, and I'm sure available online soon thereafter. So thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have this dialogue with
Oh,
you.
it's wonderful.